What's up, everyone? This is a chart of the Invesco DBE Energy Fund. And rather than an ETF, this is an ETN, which ETFs are equity-based and ETNs are commodity-based, so futures contract-based. An ETF stands for Exchange Traded Fund, and an ETN stands for Exchange Traded Notes. So you can see that we've been in a bear market for energy since after the GFC, and it hasn't just been energy, it's been commodities in general. So pretty much any chart of an aggregate commodity industry that you look at would probably look like it's considerably off its highs that it set back in the GFC. Not all of them, albeit, but most of them, I would say. So you can see from this chart, we did have a pretty good sell-off starting back in either late 2014 or 2015. And it brought us down to a low of about $8 right here, where we tried to set a bottom when we got down here. And we tried doing a 1, 2, 3 breakout where we get our bottom and then we get a 1, 2, and 3 to go test where we fell from. And if we break there, then we can go back into price discovery for the upside. But we got rejected at that move and we came back down, ended up setting new lows down here. And we are now getting another 1, 2, 3. So we get 1, 2, and 3. So we're testing, we actually broke it, but we came up and we were testing where we fell from, which would probably actually be right there. So you can see that we have broke that green line and we are now in price discovery. But we do have this other red line from what we were looking at before, which does serve as very strong resistance. So at the moment we are hanging between the support that we just created and this new resistance. So it's a pretty tight trading range, all things considered. You do have $3 or $4, and considering the underlying price, it's a pretty good chunk when you look at a percentage basis. But if you're just looking at the chart in aggregate since 2008, it's a pretty tight trading range in my opinion. You could easily wait for a pullback to the support and look to get in, and then you'd have a nice spot to set a stop loss pretty low underneath that if you wanted to trade this. But I do think that we are probably going to end up breaking this red line up here. Things are pretty bullish for commodities for the most part in aggregate. So I would say that we probably have a pretty good chance of breaking this. So at that point, the question is, where is our target for a move out of this? And albeit this isn't a perfect bump and run pattern, if you draw a line coming down here, you do see there's a point we break above it before we do get a pretty big bump. But if you kind of ignore that for the time being, this little move right up here that would have been above the trend line, you can see that we came back down, and if you take this trend line and bring it down, it would actually be the spot where we came up and retested here, or here, depending on how you want to draw the line. So I think this could act like a bump and run pattern, even though it isn't a perfect bump and run pattern. And that being said, I think probably a good price target is going to be somewhere up around $31. You do get some price action over in this area, so you might bounce around a little bit on the way up, but I think for an overall move out of this pattern, I think that's a pretty safe bet. And I mean, on the way down, you really didn't get all that much interaction with the price levels that we could have. So I think it's a pretty good trade to be watching. And we do have some content coming out that I'm actually pretty excited to be making. It's covering a topic that I find to be very interesting at the moment. It does sound like a little bit more of a macroeconomic topic rather than anything cryptocurrency related, but the implications do relate back to crypto in the form of mining. So stay tuned for that. It will be addressing energy in some manner. So I don't want to say too much before I get started on it, but I think it's going to be a good video. So I guess that does it for today's analysis on the DBE. Like this video to support the channel, comment below to let us know what you think about all this, and subscribe to the channel with the bell icon to receive notifications when we post content like this. As always, stay one move ahead. Have a great day.